Hello, my dear friends. Welcome or welcome back. I have an exciting haul for you today of some candles that probably many of you thought would never come back or you would never see them again. And these are from the line Henri Bendel. Here's one of these candles that Bath & Body Works has re-released for very select stores. So I had an employee in Columbus tell me that the only location in the world where you could still get these Henri Bendel candles is at the Columbus, Ohio Bath & Body Works flagship store at Easton Town Center. And they did indeed have them. Here's a picture of the shelf where all of them were, without a whole lot of fanfare. Since then, and when I mentioned it in my last video, I had one of you say to me, well, I saw them in Tennessee. And that is actually quite likely because Nashville, Tennessee does have several Bath & Body Works test stores. It was my understanding that those test stores were not candle test stores. There are candle test stores in Atlanta, Georgia. My understanding was that the ones in Nashville were not for candles, but obviously either something has changed or I am mistaken about that. I'm sure whoever you are, you did see them in Tennessee, and it is quite possible that other test locations may have them or will have them in the future. There are 7 such of these new candles. Relatively recently, they repoured them for the Columbus market for Easton. I think within the last year or two, maybe. They came out at a ridiculous price point. When I first purchased one, it was maybe 6 months ago when I was in Columbus, and I purchased one of them. They were running, I think the sale was 50% off. You know, it was buy one, get one or something for candles. And suspiciously, the price tag has been ripped off the side. So, and there was no labels. So I had no idea how much these candles were. I was estimating they would probably be on the higher end, in the $30 range. I got up to the register and they told me that 50% off, it was like $20. And I was like, wait, how much are these? They were $40 for quite some time in Columbus, but I noticed because I picked up another one just recently over Black Friday, and they've put the tags on and now they've dropped down to $29.50. So we're well within a decent price point now. I can understand why there's $1 or $2 more premium, not only because of the, I don't know, the connotation of the Henri Bendel line, which is it's a French fashion line or fashion house, and they did a lot of luxury home goods, fragrances, etc. They have for a very long time. Bath & Body Works bought them, I believe, in the 80s, acquired them and closed them, shuttered the brand, shuttered the line. I want to say in 2018 or 2019, something like that. It's been about 7 years or so. And by the way, it's probably Henri Bendel because it's French. But because I'm a Midwest girl from America, I'm just going to continue calling him Henri Bendel. So yes, so I understand, and anyway, close parentheses, I understand the higher or elevated price point of $29.50, or even if they moved it up to $30, $31, not only because of the reputation of Henri Bendel, the line, but also they said, this is what they said that the oils were more premium and more intense in these Henri Bendel candles than in their usual ones. And I really have absolutely no way of saying whether that is true or not. Sounds a little suspicious to me. The glass that they're using here, though, is very thick, and they do seem slightly heavier than a regular Bath & Body Works candle. Here's one right here. This is a 14.5 ounce, their usual one. This is 14.52. So there's no difference in terms of ounces. I do think that the heaviness of the candle does kind of give you a perceived value situation. And they say that it is a premium experience. Rich fragrance oils. However, it is a blend. I can see in the ingredients here it's soybean and paraffin. So I'm not into high, and that's what the usual Bath and Body Works says too. So I'm not seeing, yeah, it's exactly the same ingredients. I think that the wax formula is exactly the same, and there's no reason to regard one as more premium than another. So I don't know about that. So yeah, anyway, this is not something that any of us expected to come back. I don't know how long they're going to be in these test stores, and I don't know if they will be opened up more nationwide. I don't know any of that. So I went ahead and bought 3 of them. One about 6 months ago, and then when I was back for Black Friday for Thanksgiving, I purchased another 2 because they had a nice leveler sale of like, you know, $12.99 or whatever else it was. And these went in with that. So I went ahead and picked up another 2. Currently, there are 7 such candles that have been released by Bath and Body Works. And they are Lavender Leaves, Fig, Firewood, Blue Jasmine, Amber, Champagne, and Vanilla Bean. Those are the 7 right now that you will see. Henri Bendel did a lot more fragrances than that over the years. Some were limited editions, some were more or less standard. But these are the 7 that Bath & Body Works is going with for the present. So one of them is a true standout for me, like absolutely a standout. Another one I really, really like. And this amber one I'm not sure about, but I went ahead and get it. The thing about these Henri Bendel candles is that they're really odd. So just looking at the selection of candles that there are here, when I walked up to the shelf, I thought to myself, without even smelling them, I thought to myself, absolutely, I'm taking home Firewood and Amber and Fig. Done. Maybe Lavender Leaves, we'll have to see. The ones I absolutely was not taking home was Champagne and Vanilla Bean. Like, I could tell, like, I'm not going to be taking those home. Those don't sound like anything up my alley. But weirdly, Vanilla Bean and Champagne are my absolute favorites, and it's the other ones that I'm really not sure about. So many of these Henri Bendel fragrances are odd. And they don't necessarily match the marketing or match your expectations. We'll just put it that way. So let's start out with the standout, because I just think it's absolutely incredible. And that one is Champagne. And Champagne is the one that I picked up 6 months ago. As you can see, all of these Henri Bendel candles have this like striped motif that's a little bit textured. Otherwise, they look just like a Bath & Body Works candle on the bottom. They've got this gold lid, but it gets a little bit scratched up. And then it's just white wax with a 3-wick. So really very similar to just a usual Bath & Body Works candle. I do, and I've made no secret of this, I tend to like more neutral marketing, so I like it, but I can't say that it's like brilliant per se. So anyway, Champagne. Okay, so Champagne, I did not expect to like this at all, and I lifted the lid and thought to myself, like I was already bracing myself. Let me tell you what the notes are. Sparkling champagne, juicy pineapple, sugared musk. And I was like, absolutely not. Under no circumstances. Generally speaking, I don't like carbonated beverages anyway, just to drink. But any of those like effervescent kind of candles, I don't like. I especially don't like it when Bath & Body Works does them. They're just sparkling. They're overly sweet. They're often a little bit artificial or synthetic. They're just crazy. It's like craziness in a candle. That's what Champagne is like for me. And God bless. I know a lot of you like many of those Champagne candles. Just absolutely not for me, not for me. And these notes indicate that that's what you're going to get. Not only do you have sparkling champagne, full stop, you've got juicy pineapple. First of all, why do you have pineapple in a champagne? Like, that's kind of weird. Also, why do you have musk? Champagne. That doesn't work either. But the pineapple note, like, you just know it's going to be like a sugar onslaught. And this acidity and the carbonation is just going to be like all in your nose, all in your brain, right? Then I smelled it and I was like, what? I have literally never in my entire life smelled a candle that's more of a bait and switch than this one. Never. So friends, I'll tell you what this candle is. This candle is a super authentic botanical rose. So imagine if you're in a rose garden, and by authentic and botanical, I mean that there is a significant amount of this candle that's green, that is stem and leaf and vine and thorns. Like an enormous amount. And I love it to the depths of my heart because I'm a botanical person. And I can get behind a floral if you're giving me a lot of stem and vine and leaves. And this has it in spades. I mean, like, think like freshly cut roses from Yankee Candle and subtract some of the rose and then add in green vines. That's what this candle is. I don't think I've smelled... There are very few candles that I've smelled that are so botanically accurate to a rose or to like a vine. I mean, it's just phenomenal. It's a phenomenal candle and it's very like linear. It's just that botanical experience. It's no like body care mixed in. There's no musk. There's no, I mean, all it is a rose. It's a rose bush with all of the stems and leaves. I don't know who is smoking what to come up with champagne, pineapple, and musk. It almost makes me wonder if they just made this label for something else. I have no idea. If you're a Henri Bendel person, is this fragrance something that has been around for a long time for Henri Bendel? Obviously, if it is, and it is meant to be like this really botanical rose, which I can only imagine was meant to be a home fragrance rather than like a perfume. Maybe it is a little bit perfumey. It's mostly green. If he did indeed name it champagne, then obviously he was going for something extremely conceptual because he was just kind of like champagne and roses. And so champagne is supposed to like evoke a rose. Why didn't he just call it roses? Why didn't he just call it rose? I'm so confused. But let me tell you something, this candle is a standout. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I cannot wait to burn this if this isn't a February burn. Man, but because it's got that dewy green vine aspect, you could really burn it at any time in the spring, in the summer. Whew, that's nice. And it's the one of the 7 that I think is almost certainly not been duped by Bath & Body Works, i.e. you're not going to see it in the Bath & Body Works catalog or anything even reminiscent to it. It's a really unique candle and it's just not what Bath & Body Works does. Full stop. It's just not what they do. And so in that sense, it's a really great candle to buy because it's truly a unique one for the company. And so if you are anywhere... if you have any kind of inclination botanically or florally, this is one that I definitely think that you should pick up. And I am just super, super happy about that particular candle. Then there are a lot of candles here that Bath & Body Works has either duped, i.e. repackaged, or are extremely similar to candles that are currently or have been in the Bath & Body Works catalog. So this is my second favorite, the one that I like quite a bit, which is Vanilla Bean. And I am not a vanilla girl. I am just not. Like, I feel the same way about vanilla candles as I do like vanilla. Like, what's the point? It's okay to mix it with something, but like, why would you just have vanilla ice cream, for instance? Why would you just have a vanilla candle in your house? Especially if you weren't intending to like blend it with something else. This vanilla is different. Oh, it is so beautiful. It is so gorgeous. It is so amazing. So this vanilla bean, the notes on this are vanilla bean, warm patchouli, and sweet jasmine. So you can tell that this is a very like edgy vanilla. And man, you're not kidding. Oh gosh, it's so nice. Okay, so it is, I'm trying to smell for the jasmine. I do think the jasmine is there, but it just kind of comes across as a more, it's like a jasmine oil. Like I'm not really sure that it comes across as a fresh floral necessarily. It's a sweet kind of floral oil, yeah? But mainly, yeah, you get a lot of vanilla and you get a lot of something that is woody. I would say woody. If you're not a patchouli person, don't worry about it because I don't really know that it smells strongly enough patchouli, but it is musky and it is, yeah, I would say kind of woody. And the reason that I'm more confident saying wood is because this is very similar to vanilla birch, actually. Vanilla birch is actually quite similar. This one has a little bit more caramel overtones, I think. Like I'm not picking up on anything jasmine-like as it is in vanilla bean. In vanilla bean, it has less caramel and it goes, like the sweetness that's added here goes in that kind of more refined floral, white floral direction. Yeah. But other than that, like the vanilla wood combination is very, very similar. So I would say that these are actually really similar. And if you like vanilla birch, it's quite likely that you would also like this vanilla bean. So I'm really happy with this one and I was happy to pick one up. And I will burn this and review it in like January because I will probably wait on vanilla birch until January. I just have way too many holiday candles and way too many like Christmas tree candles that vanilla birch I think is going to go to like a cozy January period. And I will make sure to burn this one so then I can kind of do a really nice compare and contrast. Amber was the other one I picked up and I almost did not pick this one up because I'm really not sure about it. I love amber as a note. And I was expecting amazing things. So I like this color. I think it's like super classy too. I like the brown, the tortoise shell, right? The notes on this one are sweet golden amber, jasmine again, and white rose. So you've got a lot of florals there with amber. It's kind of weird. And this does not smell like any of those and it smells very, very weird. I'm not gonna lie to you. Apparently this has a cult following for Henri Bendel. If you are a Henri Bendel amber person, talk to me. Talk to me. Because I tend to like amber and I tend to like amber scents. And this one is kind of off-putting for me. I'm not going to lie to you. So I'm not getting anything really very floral about this at all. So kind of ignore that. Yes, there is something that is ambery. But whereas amber often tends to glow and give off a great warmth, this one actually is less warm and more medicinal, for lack of a better term. There is a resinous quality for sure, but it kind of goes in a very, it's a harsh amber. And it could be because I'm getting a ton of clove. It's a lot of clove and some vague like incensey notes, which actually go nicely with a certain kind of interpretation of amber, kind of in a more of a desert direction, more of an exotic direction. So completely discount the jasmine white rose. It's like they're like opposite genres. This is much more like desert frankincense myrrh kind of genre. Like I said, a ton of clove, maybe even a little bit of ginger. But I can't say that it goes completely holiday either, like gingerbread. It does have a significant amount of amber, i.e. it goes perfumey as opposed to like gourmand. And there is just something about it that is vaguely soapy or medicinal. And I just don't love it. I don't love it. It seems kind of dated too, you know? I've talked about this before, like with the snuff box and like the 1980s. There is something kind of like exotic in the 1980s and heavy. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know about that one. But I wanted to pick up another one, and the other threes were just like hard passes for me. The fig one. I am a sucker for fig candles. Here's what the fig candle looked like. I love fig, so it was really hard for me to put this back. But the reality of it is that for me, I didn't like the smell of it. And or I just thought it was so boring and generic. And I'm like, I don't like it. I'm not ruling out buying it in the future and hoping that upon it being burned, like something else comes out. So the notes on fig are juicy fig, candied jasmine, and spicy anise. Weirdly, I don't know why the over-reliance on jasmine in this particular line. Did Henri Bendel just like really like jasmine or something? Of course, very few of these actually have jasmine in them, with the exception of maybe this vanilla bean. But even that, it's like a jasmine oil. It's not a fresh botanical floral. It's much more of like a perfumey jasmine. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, look, I like anise. I think that's an intriguing fragrance note. I love fig. Candied jasmine's a little bit of a question mark. If I recall correctly, that fig candle just seemed heavy, and it seemed very body care to me. In like a not interesting way at all. There wasn't enough fig in it for me personally. I wasn't getting any anise, and I smelled for it because I'm like, I think anise is such a unique contribution here, and I'm kind of here for that particular fragrance note. It was just not there. So to me, it smelled like a generic, deep berry kind of body care item, and not a particularly bright one. So I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. Another candle that I had high hopes for was Lavender Leaves. And I did not, well, at least the leaves part of it. So here's what Lavender Leaves looks like. And the notes on Lavender Leaves are soft lavender, sage, and fresh bergamot. And unfortunately, the bergamot, it's no bueno, you know? You can tell with the bergamot, like they're going in a very generic perfume or cologne direction. For me, Lavender Leaves was weirdly muddled, and it was sharp, and it was, again, off-putting. It was just off-putting. I don't know what else to say. The lavender that they used was one that just had no warmth. It had all austerity, but it wasn't authentic or botanical enough to really have an integrity. It instead just kind of came across as something biting and sharp and not balanced. And the whole thing it wasn't good. I just didn't think it was that good. And I did not bring that one home either. Let's talk about Firewood. So Firewood looks like this. Firewood I could have brought home for sure because it was nice. The notes on Firewood are cozy firewood, vetiver, and warm amber. Those are all notes that are up my alley, and it did smell quite good. The problem was, at least in the store, it smelled exactly like Fireside. And when I could get Fireside for less, with a really pretty picture, I just went ahead and went with Fireside. So Fireside has smoked cedar, fresh clove blood. Smoked cedar, fresh clove bud, and warm embers. This one's super sooty, so I'm not getting a whole lot from it. But this and Firewood smelled very similar, very similar. And in fact, in the store, I even asked an employee to like smell it. I was like, so are these the same? And he acted all like, ma'am, I'm sorry. No, they are not the same. They may smell the same, but they in fact have differences, blah, 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 blah. As you can see, the notes are, and I'm like, I know what the notes are. Tell me what you're smelling, And he was like, also the Henri Bendel candles have much more premium oils, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, take a smell. Here's Fireside. And then he smelled Fireside. And I was like, to me, it smells like the same fragrance. He gave me a sheepish smile and was like, yeah, they do. And then he walked off. He walked. I love it when Bath and Body Works employees do that, They go on like, ma'am. And when you demonstrate that, like, you have a pretty good knowledge of what's going on, especially if you're humble about it, then they're just kind of like, yeah, you're right. Next. I'll go help somebody else who doesn't know better. So I do think Fireside and Firewood are in fact very, very similar. So Firewood, vetiver, and amber. So the warm embers and the warm amber, I think, are pretty close to the same note. This one has a smoked cedar. This one has a cozy firewood, could be cedar. When I was smelling them in the store, I did actually think that the cedar note here was a little bit brighter than in Firewood. So for my money, I actually kind of liked this candle a little bit better. And then the Henri Bendel one has vetiver, whereas this one has clove bud. 6 or half dozen. I think the vetiver and the clove are providing a little bit of something biting, something a little herbal, something a little deep, that kind of thing. That said, there may be nuances between them. And I was looking online and somebody swore that actually her mother preferred Firewood to Fireside and said it's not the same thing as Fireside. I don't want Fireside, I want Firewood. So as with the vanilla candle, for instance, there may very well be nuances. But at the very least, if you're a fan of Fireside, you may very well be a fan of Firewood by Henri Bendel. And I'm almost wishing that I had gotten that Firewood because I haven't reviewed this one yet, but I can't go any further. The soot it's like soot central, and I'm getting not great wicks at this point. So if that Firewood performs better, I would definitely go with that one. Then there are, let's see, have I done all of them? Just one more, Blue Jasmine, right? Here's what Blue Jasmine looks like. And Blue Jasmine is sparkling citrus, almond cream, and crystal peonies. And Blue Jasmine is the same or very similar to a candle that came out in the Neutrals collection this fall, which was Blue Jasmine and Currant, I think. Yes, Blue Jasmine and Currant. So here's a picture of that one. And it was a disappointment because it's just very body care forward. So I didn't end up buying it this fall, but when I smelled the Blue Jasmine one from Henri Bendel, it is in fact very, very similar. So those two are, like I said, so similar. You could call them dupes of each other. It does not mean that there aren't some nuances. It did seem to me as though the Henri Bendel Blue Jasmine might have been a touch more sophisticated, a touch more premium than what I at least remembered of Blue Jasmine and Currant. But I mean, Blue Jasmine and Currant is not on the floor anymore, although we might see it for semi-annual. I don't know. And so maybe in my mind, especially because I like demoted it in my mind as only a body care candle, I may just be misremembering the Neutrals candle. There may be some nuances, but they are very, very similar for all intents and purposes. And they even kind of have the same name, Blue Jasmine and Blue Jasmine and Currant. That said, when I was talking to the employees, they said that Henri Bendel Blue Jasmine candle was very popular and was considered one of like the best sellers of the line. So if you're one of those people that really liked that Blue Jasmine and Currant, the Neutrals one, or remember it at all, or kind of like Bath and Body Works' body care candles, I really think that you would love that Blue Jasmine Henri Bendel. And again, if they burn well, if they perform better than the regular Bath and Body Works candles, then I think it's definitely one to pick up rather than the Neutrals one, for instance. And or if you like the specific aesthetic, that kind of thing. I think I've gone through them all now because I have Vanilla Bean, Amber, and Champagne. And then we talked about Lavender Leaves, Figs, Firewood, and Blue Jasmine. That's 7. That's the 7 right there. So I guess if you don't have these and you can't get them online, if you, and I get it, there's probably a lot of like FOMO here, a lot of like, I want these candles, blah, blah, blah. Why can't they come to all the stores? I get it. I do hope that I've comforted you a little bit that most of these are very similar to candles that you can get from Bath and Body Works. Vanilla Bean, very close to Vanilla Birch. The Firewood, very close to Fireside. Amber, I can't think of anything that's similar to Amber, but I'm not sure that it's a very nice fragrance. Champagne, definitely not close to anything. And I can highly recommend that one as just being one you really need to check out. The Blue Jasmine, though, was, for all intents and purposes, Blue Jasmine and Currant, and we may very well see that again. The Fig one was blah. I don't know. Those who know Bath and Body Works better, if you smelled it, you might even be able to say, oh, this is, it's probably done by Bath and Body Works because I didn't think it was all that remarkable and it did lean a little body care. So I would not at all be surprised if that is represented or has been in the Bath and Body Works catalog. Lavender Leaves, almost exactly the same way. So you're not necessarily missing out on a lot if you can't get these or you're nowhere close to a test store, etc. But if you get to a test store and you find some Henri Bendel candles, I really think that the Vanilla Bean and the Champagne are worth a look, worth picking up for sure. Champagne especially being something that is extremely unique and very unlikely to be something that Bath & Body Works would do or would dupe in the future without adding some sort of Bath & Body Works spin on it, making it a lotion, making it a body splash or whatever else it is. They don't do those kinds of candles. So I think that Champagne is the standout for so many reasons. And I'm really, really happy to have encountered it and hopefully to burn it this year. So that's what I've got for you. Henri Bendel, still in some select stores, and the price has come down to a very reasonable $29.50 if you are lucky enough to be in one of those markets. Once I burn them, I will let you know if it's in any way different than the average Bath & Body Works candle. But from what I can see on the label, I don't see why they would be significantly different. It's the same amount of wax. It looks like the same formula of wax. And I am not sensing as I'm smelling it a significantly different or stronger on cold experience. So between us, I am skeptical about it being a completely different experience, but I'll definitely let you know. And stay tuned because I will have a really big Black Friday Thanksgiving haul of various different candles coming to you in the next couple days. See you in the next one.